So now, Kathy and Margaret, what gift can we give you? What present? What token? Only this, that as you make your promises anew, and as on the hinges of history the door of justice begins to open, we resolve, as our gift to you, we resolve that with each year's passing, we will widen the door evermore, and that we will welcome at love's table all who seek shelter and solace and joy. So give thanks for one another and for your beautiful son. Know that our hands reach out to you in love. And even when the path isn't clear, follow the way of joy as it rises up in you. And may God's peace go with you all the days of your life.
This is Boston Red on the first day of August 2013 as we usher in the month of August. A milestone was made tonight in the Midwest state of Minnesota. The legislature there passed a marriage equality bill, and that is also the title of our episode, Marriage Equality. Minnesota style. But nonetheless, and I'll read a dispatch here from the local newspaper. It says gay and lesbian couples from around the state gathered at the city halls, courthouses, and even the Mall of America shortly before midnight on Wednesday, poised for a historical round of midnight ceremonies. And you just heard the beginning of one that was in the city of Minneapolis as we come in here. And when we go out, you will hear more of that ceremony, the couple there that were getting married there by the mayor of Minneapolis. Couples who kept their love and relationship secret for years, even decades, were preparing to proclaim what they say will be their new status as full-fledged newlyweds. Our wedding will be about celebration and commitment, but it will also be about sharing our lives to help people better understand how much the same we all are. That's from Phil Ottman. On Wednesday evening, was hours away from marrying his partner of 38 years during a jam-packed procession of same-sex marriage couples at the Minneapolis City Hall. Earlier this year, Minnesota became the 13th state to legalize same-sex marriage, a law that would take effect on the stroke of midnight. As we record this, it's 1:30 Eastern Time, so I guess it would be, about 12:30 there. So, as they say, the marriages are on. 2 years ago, Republican legislative leaders put a measure on the ballot that would have taken an existing ban on same-sex marriage and etched it into the state constitution. We covered that campaign, making it virtually impossible to overturn. 38 states have already passed similar same-sex marriage bans, and most public watchers saw no reason Minnesota would not follow suit. Now remember, this was in a presidential election year, and usually that will get out the so-called value voters. But what happened in that particular state after on presidential campaign, I'm reading here from the dispatch, that mobilized thousands of volunteers, drew millions of dollars in donations. Minnesota became the first state to reject such a measure, but that still left in place a statute banning gay marriage. Shortly after, the supporters that engineered the constitutional win harnessed their enormous political machine to persuade legislators to move ahead with full-scale legislation. No doubt a great political risk from some of the people from the interior parts of the state. On 14th of May, the governor there, Mark Dayton, signed the legislation bill into law leading up to the first wedding. Dayton issued a proclamation declaring Thursday Freedom to Marry Day in Minnesota today. I'm proud that Minnesota has followed with 12 other states and is at the forefront. The governor said the measure includes protection to ensure that churches and religious leaders who oppose same-sex marriage can decline to perform the ceremonies. But opponents say this is little comfort as they look forward to what they see as a wrong turn in the state's history. This is a sad day in our state for the majority of Minnesotans who still believe that marriage is a union of one man and one woman as God designated. That's from Autumn Lever, a spokesman for the Minnesota Marriage, which opposed same-sex marriage. We are grieving because we understand that Minnesota families, children, and religious liberty rights will pay the price for the decision made by a group of legislators to force gender-neutral society on our state. Joe Stiles, 65, of Ona Tunner, said he feels like Minnesota and the nation are reaching a critical tipping point away from the values and beliefs that he holds dear. I am more sad and disappointed rather than angry, he said. It may take a couple of decades before society wises up and realizes that we have done by watering down and diminishing the importance of marriage. Countdown 8 hours before midnight. Many of these couples, incidentally, have been married or getting married, and of course the largest cities in that state opened up the rolls prior to. So in other words, they had already done, I guess, what you call the paperwork. I think it's incredibly important that we don't feel it's a conveyor belt of love. That was from the mayor there, Rybeck. Rybeck's matrimonial marathon began as a legislative vote on gay marriage. As crowds cheered, a jubilant Rybeck shouted out to everyone in the rotunda, "If this thing passes, come down to City Hall and we'll marry you." Well, evidently they are doing that. There were 42 so far, all around the state, and they named numerous people that have been waiting to get married in that state. So as they say, matrimonial things go on. It goes to the private sector in the Mall of America. Two people there, Holly Bartlett and Amy Petridge, were preparing to wed at the Chapel of Love. That's one of these things there. The owner there, Felicia Glass Wilcox, said couples like Barrett and Partridge should feel as welcome as any other couples. In other words, they're Midwestern-style Vegas Mad Chapel, and away they go. So nonetheless, marriage equality starts there and 13 other states as it moves across these continental United States. On to other news today. The all-American hero, O.J. Simpson, was paroled on a few convictions, but he's still there. This is from the Los Angeles Times out of Las Vegas, Nevada. For the first time in a long time, O.J. Simpson got a bit of favorable legal news Wednesday when Nevada officials granted him parole on several of his 2008 convictions for kidnapping, armed robbery, stealing from attempt to retrieve his sports memorabilia, but these were actually pictures, etc. There. And the Nevada Board of Pardon Commissioners noted in the decision that the hero's positive institutional record and his participation in addressing his behavior that led to his incarceration. On Thursday, Mr. Simpson appeared before a two-member pardon panel to plead for leniency during a 20-minute hearing. He told the commission that he regrets his actions and says he tries to be a model prisoner or inmate. O.J. said the Nevada incident came about because he was trying to retrieve stolen property. Incidentally, he had tried to go to various law enforcement agencies. None of them wanted to help him, even including the FBI. So he went to what we were all taught in law school, self-help. And self-help did not work out in Nevada. He said the incident came about in trying to retrieve his property. Originally, he called his action part of a sting designed to recover valuable mementos of his sports career. Well, those are things also, pictures of his children, etc. there. And he had been, and his comrades had been drinking all day. He also sought a new trial, and that was a hearing. We covered that, arguing that his former lawyer, Yale Galetta, performed poorly. The Clark County District Judge Linda Bell held a week-long hearing on the issue in May, and he awaits, of course, a ruling now. The board's decision will not influence Bell's ruling on whether Mr. Simpson will receive a new trial in the case. That's from Patricia Palm. She's the attorney representing him now, and she's done a brilliant job. I don't expect this kind of thing will affect Judge Bell's decision. Palm told the Los Angeles Times her ruling has to be based on what was presented in court, but it does mean something to Mr. Simpson. Simpson was heartened by the news, Ms. Palm said. He was very pleased. He's very grateful he was treated fairly. Now, it becomes effective on the 2nd of October. The 66-year-old will begin serving a minimum term of 4 concurrent sentences imposed for using a weapon during he didn't actually have the weapon, others did, during the 2007 robbery, almost 7 years ago. After that, he has 2 more consecutive terms for assault with a deadly weapon. Of course, he's at the Lovelock Correctional Center. That's 90 miles outside of Reno, Nevada. Now, when he was actually sentenced, that was up to 33 years he could get. At the same time, there was a fellow that robbed several 7-Eleven type stores with a gun, etc. And he got a modest sentence of less than 10 years. He used a gun and, of course, did multiple robberies. So you can see what attention that case attracted. I've been asked many, many times about the history of O.J.'s case. First of all, there was a situation there that O.J. Simpson has never murdered anyone. He was declared innocent according to the evidence. In the trial in Los Angeles was called the trial of the century. Time magazine blackened his picture, turned it into a race case, and we were off to the races. F. Lee Bailey, Johnny Cochran, and company put on a brilliant defense of the hero, and they were able to get a verdict accordingly. Then they went down to Santa Monica, and the whole thing was whitewashed on the emotional thing. It reminds one very much of the Tremont Martin trial. Incidentally, that fellow there, Zimmerman, got a speeding ticket, but it was one of these citations. There was no fine involved in it. In all places, Texas, speeding down the highway, and he had a glove in his He had a gun in the glove box, as they call it, in his pickup truck. And they asked him where he was going. It was the same basic answer he gave the night that he murdered Trayvon Martin. No place in particular. He was just out joyriding around, supposedly. So this is the type of issue. As we go out here, we will play some of the hero's interview before the pardon board in Nevada. So we move on here to there is a massive prison. There's a hunger strike going on in the California prison system, and it has been going on for some time. In the Pelican Bay State Prison, I read just a little bit of this. Inside the concrete of California's highest security prison, the inmate covered in neo-Nazi tattoos started this. His name is Todd Asker. And he would free other inmates. They're all in this area together. Went on a hunger strike on the 8th of July. They represent the Mexican Mafia, the Nuestra Familia, and the Black Guerrilla family. But this has been a massive strike. There's 600, inmates still refusing food. They call themselves the Short Corridor Collective. And some prisoner rights activists describe the intense and sometimes volatile man as a brilliant champion for the 130,000 prisoners in California. There's an element within the Department of Corrections who would celebrate some of our deaths with a party. That's what Asker had to say to the Times in March. So this has been going on. But others say that Asker is dangerous, accusing him of being in the Aryan Brotherhood, bent on freeing gang leaders from solitary confinement so they can regain their grip in the prison system if they ever lost it. That's Charles Manson and company there. Nonetheless, Terry McDonald, who runs California 33 prisons until a few months ago and now runs the, of all things, Los Angeles County jail system, said Asker and his compatriots in the short-term Corridor Collective are not fighting for rights but power. From my perspective, they're terrorists, she said. So now she's running the jail there. This Asker is born outside of Denver, grew up in Northern California. His father was there. And he was sentenced in South Dakota. So a very troubled background from which he comes. But that is beside the point. In the 80s, the Department of Corrections started building high-security prisons with isolated blocks called segregated security housing, known by the inmates as SHUs, pronounced SHU. Now California has 4 SHU prisons holding more than 4,500 men, who the state calls the worst of the worst. The toughest facility was built at Pelican Bay State Prison. That's up near the Oregon border. And Asker arrived there in 1990. He's been there a long time. Pelican Bay SHU is divided into pods of 8 cells, stacked 4 wide and 2 high, facing a blank wall. There are no bars. Each steel door is preparated to let in air and light. Once a day, the door is open. The prisoners can enter an empty cement dog run for 90 minutes to exercise. Kept indoors for years, men in these shoes take on ghostly pillars as if dust with flour. They get less canteen food than do other inmates, less clothing, and allowed limited belongings, few visitors, no phone calls. Every privilege from mail to medical care is rationed. They're accused of those accused of gang involvement. The SHU is an indefinite sentence. More than 400 have been in the Pelican Bay SHU for more than a decade. 78, including Asker, have been there for more than 2 decades. They have common complaints of anger, anxiety, depression, insomnia, or inability to concentrate, loss of sense of time, no doubt about that, according to reports by a psychiatrist retained by civil rights lawyers challenged the use of long-term solitary confinement. Condition of SHU may well hover on the edge of what is humanly tolerated. That's from U.S. Judge Felton Henderson, wrote in 1995. No doubt we hear people talk about The gulags in various places, including Democratic Republic of Korea and elsewhere, and that is part of it. The top prison gang leaders of California are held together in one wing of Pelican Bay, called the Short Corridor. On theory, it's easy to control them in one place. That's from correction officers. In addition to Asker, the collective includes Antonio Chico Galad, described in court papers last week as a top general in the Nesera Felia. In Antotabas, Castellanos, Mexican mafia leader, and the California corrections officer said the fourth one is Ron Dewberry, a member of the militant black guerrilla family who calls himself Natama Jama. Nonetheless, Asker in a message to the Times described the group as a collective effort to initiate a multiracial group of long-term, similarly situated shoe prisoners who decide enough's enough. Now, in August of 2012, the collective issued a 2-page agreement to end hostility between racial groups in the prison, focusing on inmate against a common enemy, the Corrections Department. We can no longer allow the Department of Corrections to use us against each other for their benefit, the agreement said. The isolation of Pelican Bay helps break down racial and ethnic barriers, said Dennis O'Hara, a sociology professor at Binghamton University in New York, who asked Asker and other Pelican Bay inmates correspondence with his classes. We move on. For months leading up to hunger strike, prison rights organizations repented strike leaders' writings in newsletters, mail-out publications to inmates across California. 2 hunger strikes staged by the Short Corridor Collective in 2011 ended after 3 weeks. Ask about this one will be different. He's correct about that. It continues on. Thus, sometimes, as they say, out of the bad comes something productive, in that these people are at least spotlighting the correction system in California to the world, sort of as Jim Snowden spotlighted the NSA. Incidentally, General Andrews of the NSA was at the Black Hat. We'll have that on, I guess, Friday Jobber when we will have some time to present it. But nonetheless, he was there and he was booed, and we'll have that. So it's on to marriage equality in Minnesota. And then from the time we have left, the All-American hero O.J. Simpson at his parole hearing out in Nevada. This is Boston Red for Marriage Equality, Minnesota Style, on the first day of August 2013, and his Support Laureate of Newark, New Jersey. One L.A. Bill Graham would say, peace out, good day.
wife, and opening yourself to all that the years hold. And Kathy, and opening yourself to all that every season of life. And to you, Kathy, Margaret, and Louie, welcome this new chapter of your life as a family. And now your part. And do all of you here present pledge yourselves to support Kathy and Margaret in their marriage and to support all loving couples who choose to make marriage commitments? If so, please say with joy, we do.
So Kathy, please repeat after me. I, Kathy, take you, Margaret, to be my lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward.
To have and to hold from this day forward.
For better and for worse.
For better and for worse.
For richer and for poorer.
For richer and for poorer.
In sickness and in health.
In sickness and in health.
To love and cherish.
To love and cherish.
As long as we both shall.
As long as we both shall.
Margaret, please repeat after me. I, Margaret, take you, Kathy.
I, Margaret, take you, Kathy.
To be my lawfully wedded wife.
To be my lawfully wedded wife.
To have and to hold from this day forward.
To have and to hold from this day forward.
For better and for worse.
For better and for worse.
For richer and for poorer.
For richer and for poorer.
In sickness and in health.
In sickness and in health.
To love and to cherish.
To love and to cherish.
For as long as we both shall live.
For as long as we both shall live.
Now we have a star turned by Louis. The moment is here.
Margaret, repeat after me. Kathy, receive and wear this ring as a sign of my love and the joy we share. Margaret, receive and wear this ring as a sign of my love and the joy we share.
Sign of my love and the joy we share.
We're almost done, Louis. Margaret and Kathy, the mayor is supposed to, and I do, love every single member of my community. But I honestly have to say that I know almost no one in this city who I respect more than two of you. Your story is so powerful to me because you met doing what you do every day, which is doing great things for other people, those with the greatest needs. You worked together at St. Stephen's. You made a commitment to other people, and that made your commitment grow, and you do that every single day. So it's a tremendous honor to me to be able to do what we are about to do and to share this with you. We will talk about this for a couple more minutes because I want to make sure that it's just an extraordinary opportunity to say more about this great Minneapolis meeting. Rarely am I speechless, but at this very moment, I would like to say that I met Margaret and Kathy over at the state capitol as all of this was unwinding. And at that moment, they said that they were ready to be married. And so we were very happy to do that. And because of that, we will now have a very quick session. And Margaret and Kathy finally vested in me.